Hey, Team Edgar community, I'm excited to bring you Lane Booth today from the project booth, and she is going to talk to us about a really cool concept that I know I am really excited to learn, and this is the idea of making really data-driven decisions. Now, as creatives, sometimes we shy away from data so much, and I'm guilty of that myself, so she's going to give us some really cool examples of how we can actually use data to inform our marketing and really help our entire business. So Lane, go ahead and I'll toss it over to you to introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Hey everyone, great to be here. Thanks so much for the warm welcome, Megan. And yeah, guys, I am delighted to be here and chat with you guys. You know, we have here at the project booth, we work with folks from the creative side of the spectrum, from the analytical side. But at the end of the day, we want to help people go from guessing with their gut to actually making data-driven decisions for their business, because that's what really, at the end of the day, that provides that layer of certainty and clarity that most people really seem to be missing at this stage of the game. You know, when you're trying to get off and running, when you're in that growth phase, clarity is such a powerhouse when you are very clear on what's working for your business and what's not working for your business. And so that's what we help our clients with day in and day out by taking them through a special ABC process.
Oh, I love that so much. And I feel like the successful businesses out there are the ones who can make decisions quickly, make them on this idea of being data backed because they know it's exactly what their customers and users are going to get a benefit from. So if I am just starting out diving into data and I don't even know what questions I should be asking really, what are some of the first things that I should start doing to be more driven by data when I'm making my decisions?
Such a good question. And two, I mean, the answer can be very simple, but at the same time, very powerful. You know, the idea of reverse engineering, is a concept that should definitely be used in, solopreneurs and small business owners, because that is how you really figure out what's working and what's not working in your business. So it's one of the first things that we walk our clients through is actually getting super clear on what their vision is and how they're going to get there. So and then you basically have, all right, here's, what I want, here's where I am right now. How do we start bridging the gap in between? Because so many people, they get stuck in what's happening right here, right now. And, kind of head down, nose to the grindstone on, all right, well, I just got to get these posts out, or I just got to write this email, when really is that still attached to your vision? Is that attached to the end goal? And if you haven't established what that end goal is, take a moment right now and just get something down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get something down so that you know where you're going. I saw a great quote the other day. If you don't know where you're going, there's a chance you might never get there. It's so true. But when you have that clarity on where you're going, the next steps become more clear because you can start, figuring out that path forward.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So once I have my vision in mind of where I want to go and ultimately the outcomes that I want to bring to my community, are there some specific numbers and where I can gain those numbers or tools that I can use in order to track these things that you would recommend for someone just diving into this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we walk our clients through an ABC process to be able to make those data-driven decisions. And A is all about audit and analyzing. And honestly, I'll be frank, it's the most boring part of the entire process, but it's so important because this is where the numbers are really telling a story of what's happening in your business. So, if we just look at social media, for example, we were working with a client a couple months ago where she was everywhere. She was on Pinterest, she was on YouTube, she was on, Facebook and Instagram, all the things, right? And once we took a look at what she was posting and where her audience was resonating, it made it very clear that she only needed to really play in two places. She needed to play in YouTube and she needed to play on Pinterest. Instagram and Facebook were kind of nice to haves. They weren't really driving traffic to her blog. They weren't driving traffic to her offers. And at the end of the day, if you're spending time, and even if you yourself aren't spending time, but you're paying someone else, that social media manager or coordinator, to do this stuff for you, then you want to be really efficient and productive with their time, right? So being able to track, and what I see people missing is they'll be able to track the engagement, or they'll be able to track the number of posts or the number of likes or whatever. But are you able to track where they land?
Mm.
That's the missing piece that I see for so many folks. Whereas, the Facebook and Instagram metrics aren't as important as like the Google Analytics because that's where people are landing. That's where they're taking action. That's where they're buying from you. And those are the metrics that tend to be more important than a lot of the social media ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what I'm hearing from you that's really resonating in this idea of like why I would jump into data is like I can spend my time way more wisely when I know I don't have to spend as much time creating quality content like every single day on Instagram when it might only be driving one person, where if I put that time into really up leveling my Pinterest strategy or my YouTube strategy, that might drive like 20 people a day. So I really want to make sure that I don't have unlimited time. So the time I am spending is on the right platforms and in the right places. So that's super powerful. So I love
Yeah.
that a lot. Now, when you're just kind of getting into this a little bit more, are there any like specific terms or anything that you feel like trip people up in the idea of like, are they misunderstanding what these terms mean, or kind of shying away from it because maybe we're just not familiar with them in the data world?
Ooh, that's a good question. So one thing that would be, a good clarifying point is, traffic.
Mm.
Traffic seems like a kind of, big nebulous, term out there. What does it actually mean? And then people across, different platforms will call it different things. So you might have followers, you might have, users, you might have sessions. So there's
Right.
they no one got together in social media world and said like, here are the metrics that we're going to use the same across all the different platforms. And so it does require a little bit of just, clear understanding on what each of the platforms are really telling you. So for Pinterest, sessions are a big deal for being able to drive, what? And of all the people that we've worked with that are big on Pinterest, followers and saves, really aren't, they're not the traffic drivers. They could be like an indicator that something is resonating, but at the end of the day, it's sessions. Sessions is what you really need to be focused on in your business. So on Pinterest side of things, like being really clear on sessions, that's where your eyes need to be, is really important. And then
Sense.
on, the other platforms, just being clear on, um, what does engagement mean? Engagement can mean technically whatever whatever you want to make it, almost, it seems like these days, but really being clear again on what is it doing at the end of the day. So honestly, I like Pinterest a lot because I feel like sessions really resonate, and that's really what you want to see drawing from the other platforms as well. So Facebook is driving sessions to your website, Instagram is driving sessions. So that session piece is a big one. And then I feel like conversions is another big piece where people can get a little bit stuck. You may have a conversion into your opt-in page. So basically like, hey, you drove someone, to a web page, did they opt in? So that could be like an opt-in conversion rate. But then at the same time, did they buy from you? Well, no, they just downloaded this PDF. So being really clear on what conversions mean at different stages in your funnel is also really important to clarify what that really means for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, I keep hearing the word clarity from you. And I think that is definitely kind of the hitting home aspect of what we need to really identify when we're diving into data the first time is what do you want to get out of this data? So I think that's really cool. So I would love to hear from you kind of about your own business and your own practices when you're actually looking for the right people to work with and kind of aligning like for creatives who don't necessarily want to dive into data and want to do this. What do you actually look for a good alignment with someone to work with you?
It's a great question. And you know what's really fun, being from a very, engineering background, analytical side of things, it's so cool how it's turned out that we work mostly with creative, visionary, like quick start business owners at this stage of the game. So, for us, we're really looking for people that are very growth focused. They have some traction in their business and they're really looking to see, okay, I've got this traction. How do I really put, my foot on the accelerator here? How can I really, amp this up and scale quickly? So we are really looking for those ambitious creatives that want to grow fast, but they also have, they have some data already that they're sitting on. So, we need to have, a year's worth of information happening from all the different platforms. You need to have we usually are looking for about 12 months of solid growth and data from their, Google Analytics and some other tools and things like that. So once you're at, like, you've validated that, yes, people want what I got, and then now I just need to, reach more people and do that more efficiently and effective with my team, then that's usually a good indicator that we could probably help you out with, partnering one-on-one and really opening up your eyes on what really is working, and how can you then start tracking the breadcrumbs that are really leading you to that next scaling stage.
Yeah, that's really great. So I know a lot of our members in our community are probably at that stage where you're getting awesome traction and you've put yourself out there to position yourself as an expert. And maybe it is time for you to bring someone in to work on a data-driven analysis of your entire marketing strategy. But if you're someone who's not quite at that point, or you just don't have the ability to pay for someone like you for a consultant yet, how long should data be a part of your work week? Like, how much time would you say someone should spend on an audit, or spend kind of analyzing their numbers at what cadence? Like every day, once a month? Like, where can we fit that in if we're just trying to do it on our own until we can actually hire an expert?
Yeah, that's a great question, Megan. And what we found is that, really keeping your eye on the prize on a weekly basis is really, really important.
Cool.
I mean, so many people are looking at things at the end of the year, but my goodness, like, you've been playing this game for 12 months and you're just now figuring out, like, if you were winning or not. That's way too long to be going. So what we suggest is actually, at minimum monthly. And again, being very clear on what your goal is. So, is my goal to make $10,000 this month? Is my goal to make $50,000 this month? Whatever that is. And then, are you on track to hitting that on a weekly basis? So I will share, like, revenue is always, is always a KPI. Like, it's always, a data point that you want to be looking at. And how close are you to hitting it for this month is always very, very, it's always going to be valuable for you. And then if you can take it one step back, like, what's the one thing that happens before the sale, whatever that thing is, if that's, somebody booking a call with you to have a consultation, if that's someone landing on your checkout page, like, whatever that next metric is, that's the other piece that I would highly suggest looking at. So even if you're just looking at, 2 or 3 metrics, just a little sprinkling will actually take you really far. And being able to just check in on those on Mondays or Fridays, like, set aside 15 minutes, log into your payment processor, log into how your pages are doing, or your booking pages, and just jot down that number, and you are going to start to see trends happening week over week that you could, then that's when the ideas start coming. Because it's one thing to know your numbers, it's another thing to know what to do with them. And that's where those creative ideas will start to come through on, how do I start improving these numbers now that I can see them?
Oh, wow. What's the one thing that happens before the sale? What a powerful yet such a simple question to ask, because that is kind of that trigger when someone at that moment decides to convert, and figuring out what emotional state they were in and what they looked at beforehand and the content they consumed from you and how long it took them can inform your journey for so many other people. Yet I feel like it's almost too simple to be true sometimes. I love that question. You're like blowing my mind with it. That's so great. Cool. Well, you have been such a wealth of information. This has been amazing and given me a lot to think of. If you could leave us with one actionable tip that we could take today to improve our data-driven decision-making, what would that be?
Yes, set clear sights on where you want to go and track your way as you're moving that direction. So if you want a $10,000 month, put it in front of you and track your progress each week.
Oh, that's such a good one. You guys, make your goals, make sure that you are tracking them, and you're going to achieve them. Just stay consistent to them. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. If you guys want to get in touch with Lynn, I will put her where you can reach her in the description of her company in the description of this video. So go ahead and reach out and give this video a like if you are going to take any of these suggestions into your own business practice. Lynn, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much.
Yes. Bye, guys.